Good evening. You're joining the midweek edition of the State of Business. I'm Nishani Pigera. First, a look at the headlines. European Commission proposes GSP Plus to be granted to Sri Lanka. And Ceylon Electricity Board to purchase 60 megawatts of electricity to face the looming power crisis. In tonight's main story, the European Commission today proposed that a significant part of the remaining import duties on Sri Lankan products should be removed by the European Union in exchange for the country's commitment to ratify and effectively implement 27 international conventions on human rights, labour conditions, protection of the environment and good governance. These one-way trade preferences would consist of the full removal of duties on 66% of tariff lines, covering a wide array of products including textiles and fisheries. The EU said that the removal of customs duties would be accompanied by rigorous monitoring and the condition of continued commitment to sustainable development, human rights and good governance. These preferences would come under a special arrangement of the EU Generalised Scheme of Preferences known as the GSP+. The European Parliament and the Council have now up to 4 months to raise potential objections before the measures become effective. Deputy Minister Power and Renewable Energy Ajith P. Perera says there are no plans to impose power cuts. He said to address the issue, the Ceylon Electricity Board will be allowed to purchase 60 megawatts of electricity for a period of 6 months. The Deputy Minister said the power purchase will be implemented after a competitive bidding process.
අපේ රටේ විදුලි බල උත්පාදනය කරන ජලාශවල ධාරිතාව දැන් 135 දක්වා පමණ අඩු වෙලා තියෙනවා. වෙනදා මේ කාලේ වෙනකොට 95ක් 90ක් තියෙනවා. එතකොට ඒ තත්ත්වය තුල අපි ඉතාම අద్භූතකින් ඔය තාමත් විදුලිය කපා දැමීමක් සම්පූර්ණ වශයෙන්ම කොටස් වශයෙන් සිදු වෙන්නේ නැහැ. අපි උත්සාහ කරන්නේ තාක්ෂණික වශයෙන් අපේ තිබෙන තාප බලාගාර භාවිතා කරලා විදුලිය නොකපා මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ කල්පනාකරණය කරගන්න අපි ලොකු ගැටලුවක ඉන්නේ. අද අපි කියන්නේ අපි කපනවා නම් කපන බව කියන හංගලා කපන්නේ නැහැ. අපි එහෙම අපි ජනතාව ගිහිල්ලා හිටින්නේ විදුලිය අර්ථකථනයෙන් භාවිතා කරන්න. අපිට මේ තාම දුෂ්කර අවස්ථාවේ සහයෝගය දෙන්න.
Cabinet spokesperson Minister Rajitha Senaratne says National Lands Policy does not permit the outright sale of state land either to locals or foreigners. Dr. Senaratne elaborated this addressing the weekly cabinet briefing in Colombo today.
අපේ ඔක්කොම බදු වලට ඒගොල්ලෝ ඩෝල් එකට මම එදා ඉදිරිපත් කරා ඩෝල් සමාගමට දුන්නේ ඔක්කොම සින්නක් කරේ ඉතින් සෝමාවතියෙන් 5000යි ඒ විදිහට එක එක රටේ විවිධ ස්ථාන. ඒ විතර නේ ශැංග්‍රීලා එකට දුන්නෙත් මේ වෙකේදීනේ පස්සේ කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලයට ආවම තමයි මම කිව්වේ මේ ජාතික ප්‍රතිපත්තිය අනුව මම්මයි ඕක ගෙනාවේ. ඉඩම් විකුණන්න බෑයි කියන එක. ඒක අනුව 2003න් පස්සේ ඉඩම් විකුණන්න බෑ රජයේ ඉඩම් එකක්වත්. ඉඩම් විකුණන්න පුළුවන් දුප්පත් මිනිස්සුන්ට නිවාස හැදීම සහ දුප්පත් මිනිස්සුන්ට වගා කිරීම සඳහා දෙන ඉඩමක් ඇරෙන්නට කාටවත් වෙන ආයෝජකයෙකුට දේශීයව විදේශීයව දෙන්න බෑ වැඩිම වුණොත් 99 අවුරුද්ද බද්දට. මම ගෙනාපු ප්‍රතිපත්තියේ පැහැදිලිව පෙන්නනවා ඕනර්ෂිප් හෝ පාර්ට්නර්ෂිප් තියෙනවා නම් අවුරුදු 33යි ලිමිටඩ් ලයබිලිටි නම් අවුරුදු 50යි ජාතික වැදගත්කමක් තියෙන මේ ව්‍යාපෘතියකට කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලයේ අනුමැතිය ඇතුව පමණක් 99 අවුරුද්දකට යනවා. වෙන බෑ.
The government will issue Sri Lanka development bonds of $1.5 billion to strengthen the government's borrowing program. The Cabinet of Ministers has ratified the proposal. And now we have more cabinet decisions in brief. A committee with representations from Sri Lanka Bar Association and Attorney General's Department has come up with recommendations to amend the Code of Criminal Procedure Special Provisions Act. The legal draftsman will be instructed to draft a new bill based on those recommendations. A bill to provide provisions for securing the rights of detainees was drafted in 2016, but with comments of some interested parties, it was not tabled in Parliament. Cabinet spokesperson said that the government will set up a separate division under the Finance Ministry to implement public-private partnerships. He said the government will implement its priority projects with public-private partnership. The new division will have experts in the field to support and advise the relevant ministry on selection, implementation and management of such PPP projects. Time for us to slip in for a short break. Do stay with us for more news on the other side. Welcome back. You're watching The State of Business. Minister of Education Akila Viraj Kariwasam says a number of reforms are planned to improve the school education in the country. He said this speaking at an event in Kiribathgoda this morning. The national ceremony to admit children to grade 1 of government schools was held at Vihar Mahadevi Balika Vidyalaya in Kiribathgoda. Speaking here, the minister said the main aim of the ministry is to provide equal facilities for all the state schools in the country.
අපි මේ වෙනකොට තීරණය කරලා තියෙනවා ප්‍රධාන පාසල් කීපයක. අපි මේ ළමුන් ඇතුළත් කර ගැනීමේදී චක්‍රලේඛයේ උල්ලංඝනය කරපු තැන්වල අපි ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් දැඩි තීන්දුව తీරන ගන්න. අද මේ පළවෙනි වසරේ ළමයි ඇතුළත් කර ගැනීම රාජකීය විද්‍යාලයේ මම අත්හිටුණු ලැබුවා. ඒකට හේතුව තමයි ස්ථානීය පරීක්ෂා කරපුවාම සම්පූර්ණයෙන් වැරදි ආකාරයේ සමහර අය කරලා තියෙනවා. මේ වගේ මුදල් මත ගිය කාලයක් තිස්සේ ගිය අපිට දේවල් අපිට අනාවරණය වෙලා තියෙනවා. අපි හොයලා බලපුවම දැනට තියෙන වාර්තා අනුව තානාපති කාර්යාලවල ලිපිණයන්ගෙන් ළමුන් දාලා තියෙනවා. වාහන පාක් එකක නමින් ළමුන් දාලා තියෙනවා. සමහර පාර්ලිමේන්තු මන්ත්‍රීවරු දන්නේත් නැතුව එයාලගේ ගෙවල් වල ඇඩ්‍රස් වලුත් ළමයි දාලා තියෙනවා.
Siddhartha Kaul, the president of SOS Children's Villages International, says the organization is impressed with what they have achieved in Sri Lanka. Kaul said he was assigned to set up the SOS village concept in Sri Lanka 35 years ago, and now it maintains 6 SOS villages in the country, providing guardianship to 974 children.
In 1980s, we entered into an agreement, our organization entered into an agreement with the Ministry of Social Services, and I was selected to go to Sri Lanka, thinking that I'm an Indian, this is next door Sri Lanka, so this must be very similar people, everything will be same. Not realizing that things were very, very different. And we started with the village in Bilyandila. And surprisingly for me, the concept of SOS was very well received. People could identify very easily, to have a family, that the child should belong to a family. So this was very well received. And we were very quickly successful. In most countries, it takes 2, 3, 4 years to establish. Here, we could do it in less than 1 year, including building the necessary physical infrastructure, finding the women who would like to be mothers to children, and at least half of the children were those who had lost their parents.
He said at present, they maintain 6 SOS villages in the country, that's in Piliyandala, Nuwara, Anuradhapura, Galle, Monaragala and Jaffna.
My discussions with different people in Sri Lanka led us to very quickly enlarge our programs. So from Bilyandila, we went straight to Nuwara, and we established our second village in Nuwara. It was very amazing because these were difficult times, 83. There were the civil riots, Sinhalese, Tamils, and our village has both communities. We have 6 Sinhalese families and 4 Tamil families. And we never had a problem. We never had a problem. And it's in the middle of Nuwara. And actually, UNESCO awarded us a Peace Messenger Prize. In these difficult circumstances, we were there. And then we went to Anuradhapura, Galle, Monaragala, and finally in Jaffna. So we have 6 villages. We have a school run in partnership with the government in Bilyandala, a high school up to A levels. We run a lot of social centers, and what is very important is in the last 3-4 years we have started programs for families which are economically weak. So we have about 4,000 children in 1,200 families whom we support.
Stocks close positive. Details after this break. Welcome back to the show. Trading at the Colombo Stock Exchange recovered to positive territory today, with turnover exceeding 1 billion rupee mark. The all share price index jumped by 31.95 points to close the day at 6,184.54, while the S&P SL 20 increased by 40.76 points to close trading at 3,503.07. Turnover was 1.1 billion rupees and 19.6 million shares were traded. Up next are the day's forex rates. And that winds up the show for tonight. Do join us again tomorrow at the same time. Thank you for watching.